Hi there. We'll be starting in just a minute.
Hi, all. Janine, do we have a list besides Susanna of those who are absent with notice?
I haven't seen anyone else, so we will see.
Okay, just checking.
Read to let me know when we have a quorum, please.
Will do.
Looks like we do have a quorum, so we're only missing a couple people.
We have 17 by my account. 15.
Yeah, that's quorum. Perfect. Good evening. Welcome to the CB2 executive meeting for the month of October. At 6:32 p.m. I want to call the meeting to order and welcome everyone tonight. I know a couple people are Patricia, you have a different order. Why don't you email it to me and drop it into the chat, because I'll resend an email to everyone who's on the call, okay? With it, so we all have the same document.
Thank you.
I'll do that during the committee reports. Okay, because I know your committee just met, so thank you. I'm going to give, this is the month where we rank our capital and budget priorities. So I'm going to give a pretty brief chair's report this month. As you know, we are virtual through Saturday, October 22nd. That takes us through our board meeting this Thursday. But as typically is the case, we won't find out if that's extended or not until the day after, the Monday after, or something like that. So we are planning on any committee meetings that are meeting next week that would be hybrid, meeting in the CB2 conference room with participants with a quorum, CB2 quorum in person, and most participants participating via Zoom. Obviously, if that changes, we will update and we'll send out a calendar. I think probably Monday morning or Tuesday, as soon as we have any clarity on that. In terms of local issues, there's been a lot of, I just want to share that next week there's a shred event before our full board meeting. So if you want to clean out some papers this weekend, bring them to Assembly Member Glick's shred event on Thursday from 1 to 4 at 25 University Place. Clean out your apartments. And there's the Hudson River Park has the release of the fishes on October 27th at Pier 40 at the Project Wet Lab, which is on the south side of the pier. On the personnel front, CB2 has interviewed 6 candidates for district manager. We just completed this last one yesterday. We still are getting some resumes in, but stay tuned. We hope to bring some finalists to the board for the board's full board meeting in November. I also want to encourage everyone, when you're walking through Washington Square Park, stop by to visit the new bench where Doris always sat in memory of Doris Deether. It was organized by a number of people in the community, but including CB2 board member Lois Rakoff, Sharon Willems, a public member, Dr. Shirley Smith, member of the board, and many, many other people in the community who came out to honor Doris's memory. We have a new board member. I'm just going to check. I don't think he's on tonight. So we'll meet him. We're going to connect on the phone tomorrow. His name is Juan Osorio. He lives in the West Village. He recently had finished an accelerated master's program at NYU Wagner. And while in school, he worked for a number of elected officials, Senator Gillibrand, State AG James, Representative AFC, and Bill de Blasio, and he worked in constituent affairs at the city council. So he'll be joining. So committee chairs, please look out for him as he joins CB2 meetings over the next month or so. We'll figure out what committees we put him on. So that's really it at this point. Want to go any quick questions? Okay, then let's go to the November calendar. If everybody could take a look at that. We have Thanksgiving and Election Day and Veterans Day. So we're working around those dates. So the board meeting, the full board meeting would be, it's a short month in terms of squeezing a lot of meetings in. The full board meeting is Thursday, November 17. And so do people have any, I already conversed with Chanel. He gave me his comments are incorporated in this. Anyone else have some comments you want to shout out?
Yeah.
Who's got their hand raised? Valerie? Yes.
Valerie, yeah, my video is not working. I really doubt anyone is interested in any sort of meeting the day before Thanksgiving, so we will not have the date on the 23rd for economic development. If I could have, if the 30th is available, that would be ideal.
The 30th is human services, but let's check. Susanna's not here tonight, so let's.
If not, the 16th would be great.
Yeah. Pardon me, if not the 16th. Let's just move you to the 16th. Okay. I'm doing
Thank you.
Okay. Frederica?
Yes, as of tonight, land use has no applications, but whether we want to address a particular topic, that has not been finalized.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you. Shirley Secunda?
Yeah, I just want to talk about the time that our meeting starts. Donna's here, right? I don't see
Yes,
Bob.
Donna and Bob are here.
So, Donna, would you consider starting at 7? You couldn't.
Our calendar next month looks really heavy and we
Okay.
already are going till, very late. So if we had a light month, I certainly could, but we don't.
Okay,
Yeah.
I won't pursue it.
Yeah, well, can
Uh,
I just throw another, because I know
Yeah.
Shirley and I spoke several times about finding another date for her meeting. And with election, there weren't really many options this month, given election day and some other commitments. So is there any flexibility on that at all, Donna? Maybe we can talk offline, because
I mean, the only thing.
And if not, I mean, my concern is just that if I can get my committee members to come at 5 or 5:30, that's fine. Except that I've been asking them, and I'm not so sure it's going to continue to be convenient for them. So I can check them again. The problem is, if they can't make it, we may have to start a little later.
you know what, Shirley, why don't you check with your committee and we'll check with the borough president's office to see if we can get a second Zoom account. So we will potentially have some overlap, but that way you don't have to
Okay.
rush your meeting.
Yeah, well, that would be fine. It's just a matter of whether you have a hybrid meeting, right? And then that makes a whole different scene.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm just gonna put it, we have it right now. I just looked, and the agenda that Florence has put together of just listing the applications has 34 applications split between our 2 nights. So Bob, do you want to, I mean, this overlaps with actually SLA2 and not SLA1. So if you want to chime in here, go right ahead.
Well, are we going to be virtual, or hybrid? What are we going to be next month?
We will not know until next week.
If we're virtual, it's fine.
Yeah, if we're virtual, it's fine, but we will not know.
Are
So-
we obligated to use the borough president's Zoom account?
I'm not sure, but it's a webinar account that allows for, I mean, versus what, your personal one or?
I have
the
a
issue-
business one.
Yeah, the issue is not the Zoom account. The issue is if we become hybrid, we would
Exactly.
both be meeting in the CB2 conference room.
Understood.
So that's the really
Yeah.
biggest issue.
Okay, well, I'll check the committee again and hopefully we can have at least a quorum.
Yeah, and just to clarify, we will not get clarity realistically on if we're virtual or hybrid until
Right,
Monday or Tuesday next week.
yeah.
So we have a little bit of time, but not a lot.
The
So-
federal public health emergency goes on through the new year. Just
Which
FYI.
does?
Federal.
Yeah, well,
does it?
yes, well, the good news is Borough Board is Thursday morning and we always get updates on that from the Borough President's office. So, Rich,
Meeting, yeah, hey, I just, the second, I'm just saying, if we're really if we really needed the open slot, I could probably give up the meeting. We just had ours last night, so it'll only be 2 weeks away. And the two topics that we have sort of bubbling up are probably topics that would require more than 2 weeks of community notification.
okay,
So I mean, we could have, I don't want to have a meeting that's not worthwhile, you know.
Yeah,
just have a
okay.
meeting. I'd rather
Um,
save it up for December if you want the second.
yeah,
For other meetings. It's a good
okay,
night.
so.
It's a
looks
good
like
night.
the
I would sell it at a very cheap price.
Going.
And then again, it's a matter of whether my committee members can make
Okay.
that night.
Okay, Shirley,
course.
why don't you reach out to your committee members and we'll circle back
do.
offline?
Thank you. Okay,
Okay,
will do.
okay. And Rich, let's also circle back offline because if you need advance notice, let's just figure out what that would be and what that would look like in December, okay?
Yep, absolutely. I'll count on your assistance. Yep.
Okay, any other calendar comments?
Jeannie, it just comes down to whether it's hybrid or not. If it's hybrid, then there's really a problem. Okay.
Yeah,
Clearly.
I'm fully aware of that. we can't answer that tonight. So I'm just laying out all
Okay.
the options and we'll figure it out based on what we,
And what are we
based
going to do? What are we going to do if it is hybrid? I'm
We'll
just
figure
saying,
it out.
I mean, we
Well,
have to
I'm not
have,
gonna- yeah,
I'm
we-
going
we'll
to
see if we can
see
move
if
our
my
committee meeting
committee
to
can make
Wednesday.
it early again.
We
I
have
could hear
early,
you.
we have Wednesday, we have lots of options, but Shirley needs to reach out to her committee. So the first step, we'll be doing some outreach to board members. Because I know it's really hard to make meetings in that 5:30 timeframe, especially now that people are more back than not back.
no, I totally agree with that. I'm just thinking, I'm thinking in terms of sooner or later, this is going to come to a head. And it does make sense to have a plan in place.
So I don't want to take up this board's time
Okay.
on this because Shirley and I have had extensive conversations about other dates and she's still working with her committee to find another date. So we're working on it. We don't have a solution yet.
All right, sorry to keep coming back at it.
Okay. Okay, no other calendar comments? Okay, so let's start with the committee reports. I have one request for somebody to go last. Do I have any requests for people who need to go early? Rich, did you want to go early?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, Rich Cacapolo, Parks and Waterfront. Tell us about the pickleball.
Thank you. There was a very highly anticipated, the discussion of active recreation uses at Sarah Valley Playground, including mainly focused on pickleball and what is unpermitted spaces. And unlike our typical committee meetings, this was the only topic on the agenda. There was no presentations. Instead, we really pushed to use as much as of the available meeting time to allow attendees to comment. We had some Brad Hoylman was there, and the recently appointed Manhattan Borough Commissioner Anthony Perez was there, along with several other Parks Parks employees. And they just wanted to hear hear from people who spoke about how Sarah Valley Playground has been adopted and used heavily by pickleball players who bring portable nets and equipment to play on both sometimes outlines that were put down by the parks for 2 courts, and at times they create temporary outlines with chalk and sometimes take up all or most of all of the paved open space. So we allowed everyone who wanted to speak to do so. Frederica helped me drive a very efficient, I thought, opportunity. There are many community members in attendance, provided comments, somewhere around 25 or so, verbally, and then many others were, contributing in the accompanying chat. Makes for good reading of the transcripts. That was, I think, the first step in the process. We came in without a set opinion. And I think it's going to be a process by which different proposals are going to be made and debated. And, we want to have a role in making sure that the community is heard and is able to feed back. I'd say both sides, not, the families that live in the neighborhood and use the park with little kids, as well as pickleball players, some of whom come from the community and many of whom, come there specifically to play from outside the
Rich, will there be a resolution for what's the
Yeah,
next?
I'm working on it, but it's gonna be pretty, motherhood, apple pie,
Yeah, okay.
It's just gonna be continue the conversations, taking all of this into account. It's
Got
there's
it.
not
Could
gonna
we see
be.
this coming back on the December meeting?
Yeah, I definitely, I know Parks is working on some proposals. I know Councilmember Botcher and other elected officials are working too on other spaces that might be utilized. But again, I felt very concerned about making it seem like we were creating some sort of backroom deal. We really
Yeah.
wanted this meeting to just be an opportunity for people to discuss the situation. And next meetings we can do a consideration of various proposals.
Okay, wonderful.
So I
Thank
think
you.
it went well. I was concerned going into it, but
I've
people
heard
were
it's got very, very contentious.
they were more civil than I thought they were going to be.
Hmm.
I thought
Excellent.
it was going to get. I thought people would get, and there were only a couple times when people were a little bit snarky or a little bit mean.
Thank you, Rich.
I just have to interject that Rich did a fantastic job of holding everything together.
Well, thanks.
you,
Thanks.
Cheryl.
Yeah, it was just, we
Good
had
to
a
hear.
set time frame and we wanted to allow everyone to speak. So I was really happy with that we got through a large number of people. So thank you. Thanks to everyone who helped and everyone who attended and helped me run it. And thank you, Cheryl.
Thanks, Rich. Okay. Ivy, Arts and Institutions.
Hi, can you hear me? I'm sorry,
Yes.
because I'm in the airport.
Mhm.
We don't have a lot to report other than we're still trying to figure out this budget thing. We had our meeting, but it seems like we weren't informed enough to understand it fully. So I think I've reached out to you and to De La Rosa to have a little more of a path of how to deal with that.
Yeah, and
We-
for tonight, what I did is I took the ones that were in last year's and I put them in what I shared with the board members.
I saw. Thank you.
So we'll use that as a starting point, because since your committee didn't present one, this committee will have to opine on those as well. Okay,
Yeah, so I'm still finding pieces. So I think that's what the committee is going to have to discuss. We also are
but it
just,
has to, I'm sorry, Ivy, this has to be done by the end of the month.
Yeah,
And
I know.
adopted by the board. So
For-
if you have additions that aren't on this list, we would need to adopt them at the board meeting on Thursday. This
Okay.
cannot be at your meeting next week.
right. Then the other thing we're working on is just to better, we're trying to make a list of how to better communicate with the community once we have presenters share their information. It seems like, it just comes and stays with us, and we just want to figure out if there's another way of messaging out after we reach out for presentations. And then we're working on that metronome letter that is not a resolution. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, so that'll come to, we'll look at that in November then.
It seems
Yeah.
like it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mar Fitzgerald, Equity, Race and Justice.
Hi. We had Commissioner Harold, why am I blanking on his name? Harold Miller back. If you guys remember, he did visit us last October. And the Racial Justice Commission was working on their recommendations for the city charter. They were in the phase of doing public engagement. They did over 50 meetings. They had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of testimony from the public and tons of online testimony. And they came up with 3 ideas of how to change the city charter or update the city charter to create a more just and equitable government in cities. So it was great having him back. There were 3 recommendations. They were add a statement of values to guide government, which is preamble to the charter that just says, you know, we celebrate, we recognize the diversity of the city in the things that we do. I'm, you know, summarizing. Proposal 2 establishes a racial equity office, plan and commission. And proposal 3 measures the true cost of living. If you can't measure it, you can't fix it. And so it would be a great thing if the city itself actually measured that every year so they know how to best serve their constituents. And we wrote a resolution. Originally, I wrote a letter, but then we changed it to a resolution at Janine's request. So we are supporting, we are not telling people to vote on these things because they will be on the ballot in November and we don't do that, but we are supporting the measures themselves. So it would be great if you did this. Therefore, be it resolved that Community Board 2 supports all 3 measures proposed by the Racial Justice Commission for the New York City Charter. And then we talked about, are we doing district needs too right now?
We'll do that separately. We'll do that separately.
Okay,
Are you not going to be able to stay for that part?
kind of know I gotta go.
Okay, why don't you, I mean, I know you, I think you submitted 4, so why don't you just highlight what's really important for you?
Okay, so of course, one of our original mandates for EWG and now ERJ was the marking of Land of the Blacks and the Black experience in the African diaspora in our neighborhoods. So again, we uplifted that. The second thing that we uplifted was, now I can't remember.
I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you, because I also don't have my phone.
The 2
Oh.
other things were cannabis,
Yes, that was the last
education.
one. Oh, yeah. Again, Black businesses. I don't know if you guys remember, but we had SBS, BNYC here. So we're still trying to get a Black business incubator here. And especially with the cannabis rollout, imminent rollout, it would really help diversify our neighborhoods if we did have some sort of incubator or business center here in Community Board 2 specific to business owners of color. And the last one was an education campaign for the imminent rollout of the cannabis businesses. Just to help, we've heard a lot of concerns from our constituents that, people don't know where they can smoke, where they can't smoke, what kind of products are available, is it safe? What is the proximity these businesses will be to schools? All of the impaired driving, accidental pet ingestion is one we get a lot. So there's a lot of confusion around this, and it would be great if we could create some sort of campaign. The city did one for 3 months back in April of last year. And so now we really need fact-based messaging for our community so that they can understand this, so that consumers themselves can consume respectfully and responsibly, and people know what's going on. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Let's go to economic development. Valerie?
Hi, yeah. I don't know if my video is gonna work or not. Oh, there we go.
Oh, it works great.
Great, wonderful. Hi. We had a great panel at the end of last month on the state of the New York City economy. There's a really great, robust report. It's a really concise, I don't know if it's concise, a really good report of the discussion that was there. So if you did not miss it, or if you did miss it, there's really good nuggets in there about the state of the city's economy and property tax and different tax revenues. A lot of advice. One of the questions that we had was advice that these different economic experts had for us who were proposing items for the budget, knowing that at the end or middle of September, the mayor instituted a PEG, which is the program to eliminate the gap for fiscal year 2023. And that is like a 3.6% cut for this fiscal year of expenses, with an anticipated 4% PEG for fiscal year 2024. So just things to keep in mind as we go through the budget request or budget priorities later on in this meeting to consider. Also knowing that the city has a very high vacancy rate at all of these different agencies, which impacts the work that we do. And so to really think about that, the Citizens Budget Commission woman, Anna, had a really great thing of, and this is in the report, it's about 25 pages, a really cleaned up transcript of the discussion. But she really talked about, in terms of budget requests and all that, the idea that capital is essentially free, and we have essentially, the city, through the financing and the great interest rates that we've had, and that's not going to be the case moving forward. And that's a very generalized version of that, but just know that what could fund what we could buy and what you could fund a playground, you know, maybe 2 fiscal cycles ago, or improvements or repairs, is going to cost a lot more because of the way the monetary system is running right now. So there's lots of really great tidbits in there, also about the financial mechanics of cannabis, and the editor-in-chief from Investopedia had a really great line about when he's talked to other cannabis operators in other parts of the country, the idea that the average transaction for cannabis in a legal environment is about $20 to $25. Maybe that's up 80 to, you know, about $80 if it's a tourist, and just the idea of how that will play out. So read the report. It'll be, once it's on the website, it was also emailed out. So the next topic that the committee will be overseeing is on ADA accessibility and small businesses with the predatory lawsuits that have been happening. There was a really great article about a operator on Houston Street who actually won against one of these predatory lawyers. And so we're hoping to bring in a mix of disability advocates as well as small business owners, and find what is a solution to help small businesses, specifically in our landmark districts, who are getting hit up by these lawsuits. So hopefully that will be happening in November. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And no resolution, correct?
There's no resolutions this month.
Okay, great. I don't think we have a report for human services, but nobody's from that committee tonight, so we'll skip that. Frederica, land use and housing.
Yes, hi, everybody. We had one application. It was for 813, 815 Broadway. It was a request for a variance to extend the construction time, and the committee voted overwhelmingly to deny the request. Do you want me to go into the details of the budget priorities or wait?
No, we'll wait for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Chanel, are you on yet? Okay, we'll come back. We did parks. Patricia, schools and ed?
Yes, hi, everyone. We just had our meeting prior to this meeting and we heard from one high school that's in our area, which is Harvest Collegiate, and we discussed district needs and she came on to discuss how they need laptops. She had connectivity problem, which is another thing under capital expenses that we're gonna talk about that's needed. We need more outdoor space, especially for our schools or, centuries old schools. And that was pretty much it. And then I can go into the other part of our meeting when we get to that part. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Wonderful. And will you have a resolution this month or no?
No resolution.
Okay. SLA 1 and 2, please. Donna and then Bob.
Okay, so SLA 1, there were 18 applications. We heard 8 of them. The rest were layovers, withdrawals, re-notifications, or no-shows. And I think all the decisions were unanimous. We had 2 denials. One was for a restaurant wine license for a Japanese omakase type restaurant on Lafayette Street. It was previously unlicensed. They want a 2 a.m. closing 7 days a week. They have extensive outdoor seating, sidewalk and roadbed. Basically almost as many seats outside as inside, with a midnight closing. And we heard a lot from the community, and the committee also thought the hours were very late on that for across the board 2 a.m. It's not in line with the other restaurants there. The roadbed is separated from the curb by a protected bike lane that just went into that area. So that's not, I don't have my notes in front of me, but that's not, it has to be separated by a pedestrian pathway, and a bike lane is not a pedestrian pathway. Those are the state rules. So the applicant was not willing to negotiate at all on anything. So the committee recommended denial of that application. The other one was on Spring Street for a class change, and that operator has had a lot of issues in sorry, the outdoor seating there is not conforming to any of the guidelines. It's all on the curb, as well as next to the building. We heard from the community, they can't walk through. We've been hearing from the community about this location for a couple years now. So that one, they also manage the open streets there, which don't, I think, entirely conform either. So that was a denial. On a positive note, we had one application that laid over last month to go back to the community and try to work with the community to come to some resolution on hours and method of operation. And they did that. The community showed up to support them. So it's good when they do go back and talk to the community and something gets resolved in a positive manner as a win-win for everybody. So that's pretty much it for SLA 1.
Okay. Bob?
Yeah, we had 19 applications at SLA 2, and I don't think there's really anything significant. There was one, everything was unanimous. There was one recommendation to deny a restaurant wine application on 7th Avenue South. It had everything to do with the operator, who is the same gentleman that operates the Baby Brasa location that has created tremendous complaints and violations in the past. So character played a role in that one.
Bob, how many were heard? How many?
Well, we actually, we have 19 applications. How many were heard? Probably, even though some of them are laid over, they're heard. So I would say somewhere around 13 or 14 is what we actually heard.
Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Shirley, Secunda?
Yeah, I think as I had told you last month, Wegmans is coming, and if you don't know, Wegmans Supermarket is this big super duper market. And they came to us about curbside regulations and bike racks and just in general, how they are going to use the curb. This is on 8th Street and Lafayette Street. And on the surface, it sounded like it was going to be a real easy one. And it turned out that they had not really studied anything. They were kind of unprepared. We managed to kind of squeeze the information out of them. And there are some really big concerns because 8th Street in that area, which is between Lafayette and Broadway, is extraordinarily narrow, and it's filled with automotive, pedestrian, and bicycle traffic. So any addition of other, particularly automotive traffic, is going to be kind of problematical. And one of their plans was to give a lot of space to the delivery services, you know, the ones that we all call and order from, and they would be picking up right on 8th Street. And we thought that was not such a great idea. We were very happy that they were doing bicycle racks, but it turned out in at least one case, they really weren't on the right street. And so we gave them recommendations, and we really urged them to study the conditions there. And that was Wegmans. And so be ready in middle of April, I would think, 23, they're coming. And as far as next month, I think DOT, which we have certainly discussed before, will be coming finally with the plan for 10th Avenue between Gansevoort and Horatio Streets. Hopefully, sounds like they've worked it finally worked it out with the New York State DOT. And that's about it.
Yep, thank you. Susan, bylaws. Oh, Carter, you have a question?
Yeah, it was interesting. Shirley, I don't know if you're aware, but Wegmans is also applying to us for a liquor license and
I am aware.
for
I just learned
outdoor
about
seating.
it last
Yeah,
night.
and outdoor
Yeah.
seating. And it's sort of unclear what their plan is. And so the outdoor seating, I thought, given the discussions that you had with pedestrian movement, safety, the bike racks, all those other things, that may be coming up, because I think that influences a lot of what you guys had talked about for the safety of pedestrians moving
Definitely.
around.
Yep.
So it's interesting to hear just how unprepared they were to discuss, but I guess we'll continue the discussion. But I just wanted to make everybody else aware of that.
I actually had met different representatives from Wegmans last night at the Village Alliance annual meeting, and they will be the ones who are coming to you guys on the liquor licenses. So it'll be interesting to see.
Okay, wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you. And you have a resolution on that, Shirley?
We do indeed.
Okay, great. Susan Kent, bylaws?
This month, we met to field all questions, comments, any requests for clarification on the bylaws draft that was circulated with the committee's September report. We did receive 4 suggested changes total, 3 of which we accepted. There was nothing major about them, but they will be incorporated into our draft, which I hope to be getting out within a week. So there will be plenty of time for everyone to look at, and hopefully we will be able to vote on this in November.
Wonderful. So there'll be one more opportunity to review them. Monday, November 14th will be the meeting, and then hopefully we'll vote on them at full board on November 17th.
I mean, I'm assuming, since, it was a this month's meeting was well publicized. We had good turnout. Everyone has been well aware of this. So of course, anyone has anything, you are welcome to reach out to me directly. If there's something I can deal with prior to the meeting, that would be great. And, we'll try to wrap it up.
Okay. Thank you, Susan. Chanel, I see you on. You want to take us through landmarks?
We had 2 meetings. The only remarkable application was for the Village Houses garage that was sold. and is being converted to residential and is one of the finest preservation redos and adaptive reuse we've seen in many moons. So we're very pleased with it.
Is that it, Chanel?
And we know nothing about next month yet.
Okay, thank you. So you'll have just a short reso. Okay. Is Will on? Will Banesh has a work commitment, but he'll join us probably in about 20 minutes. So we'll get an update on quality of life. And I've already given an update on personnel. So let's take out, if everyone, Patricia Laria put into the chat and emailed to me, the Schools and Ed Committee just met before, prior to this meeting. And then there was one item that I pulled out of parks, but it actually, Rich confirmed it still is, we're still hoping to have it happen. So I added it back in. So if everyone could go to their inbox, their email inbox, and pull up the capital and budget priorities. Valerie, I think you're a co-host, so you should be able to share screen. Valerie's going to work her magic again. But she's
Not a co-host.
Oh, I thought I made you a co-host. Let me try that again. There we go. There we go. You are now a co-host. Okay. So I sent everyone, okay, if anyone has not received that, just please let me know. And it says the updated version says updated at 7 p.m. So that includes. So we have for new funding, we actually have only 17 projects, which is a little for capital funding, which makes it a little easier. Last year we ranked the top 15, and then we had continuing support. So these are projects that are actually currently under construction and haven't been completed yet. And so some of those, and then for capital projects. So and then for parks, because of their tight schedule last night, we're not able to review. So parks and arts and institutions, those two committees did not review their expenses. So I put in the items from last year. So.
By the way, there's a repeat.
Okay, which one? I'm happy to delete it.
In parks, it's in the
Expense or
Word document.
capital?
It is in capital.
Oh, well then.
Hold on
okay,
one second. Let me just,
Oh, Tony Dapolito's in there twice.
Yep.
Well, it's very expensive. So,
We wanted to reiterate.
exactly. Okay. Great. Okay, so we have 16. I'm just going to read our top 5 from last year for capital, and just reiterate those. Hold on, let me pull that up. Last year, the top 5 were Elizabeth Street Garden, Bleecker School, technology at public schools, resiliency, and a renovation of the Hudson Park Library. And then down from there.
Are you talking about capital?
We're talking capital. We do capital first because it's shorter. Pardon me?
My records show that number 3 on capital last year was a land use request.
That's what I have as well.
No,
And
okay,
I've
well, then
Bleecker
I am
School is
looking
number
at the wrong list. Huh.
Yeah, Bleecker School is number 1.
Okay, so
And
Valerie, will
land
you
use
send
at
me
number
what you
3.
have so I'm not looking at the wrong thing?
I'm just going off the board.
Oh, okay, well then go.
I'd have
Okay.
to look at what Bob sent through last year. I don't have that.
Yeah, because that was the final, that was the email from Bob, but okay, let's go to the board. Let's go with the board. And
So
I believe Bleecker was always our top priority. And that's obviously, we had a crazy year with the Bleecker School. We had, a year, this time, November last year, the city exercised its option Between Christmas and New Year's, NYU gave the city the option to offered to extend the option. And in January, the city extended the option. And the grocery store, there's been a petition in front of Morton Williams to sort of save our grocery store and make sure we get a school and a grocery store, which is obviously something, CB2 supports, but we're not going to pit those against each other. So this is definitely in play. I think. Patricia, do you want to add anything to that? Okay. Is Will on? When Will's on, I'll have him give a shout out on resiliency when he joins us. I do want to add that, the Elizabeth Street Garden continues to be written up, even in the New York Times last week, as sort of a destination location for New York City. So while it's still a land use struggle, it's certainly become sort of a destination, another destination in our city that people go to.
So do you want to?
I'm just waiting for Frederica. Okay. Do you have Frederica? Is your hand up?
Oh,
yeah, thank you. So as I said, last year we were number 3 in the capital budget priorities. And I see that in the draft, the 7 p.m. draft, we'd moved up to number 2. And
the 7 p.m. draft is just the list in terms of how people sent them to me.
Sure, but that looks good to us.
Yeah, that's not the formal ranking. That was just, first come, first serve in the list. But we can move, I think we can move that up to number 3, if the 2 Howard Street.
Okay.
Number 3 was last year's position. So
what was number 3 last year?
Number 3 last year was 2 Howard Street.
Oh, it was 2 Howard. Okay, I'm sorry.
We only made 1 capital request.
Yeah, okay.
So what I've done, so you've got, just so you can, and I see I have capital spelled wrong here.
That's okay.
These just have the legends here, so I'll try to keep that visible. This column right here, I don't know if my mouse appears on screen when I screen share.
A little bit, it's very fast. Fast and furious.
There we go. This column, FY23 capital budget final, is last year. That's the list of last year. And some assistance there. And then here was just the new list, and we can add the numbers there, 1 and 2.
This makes it so much easier.
And then new funding are all here, and continued support are here. This is what I received from you, Janine. So I can copy paste them from here. I can just move them over from here, but it's nice to have this list to compare.
Yeah, keep that list there.
Yeah.
And then we can.
So I hope that people can see this. I can also send out a link to this if people want to view it.
Can you put that link into the chat? Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I will send it. There you go.
All right. Since Valerie's sharing her screen, I'm gonna keep a look on if anyone's raising their hands to comment.
So far we have the Bleecker School, 2 Howard Street.
I'd like to push for Elizabeth Street Garden for back there, number 3. Okay.
From last year, the resiliency, this one is it's a longer version.
Yeah, which is going to have to be edited because there's a character cap. But yeah, why don't you put that in at resiliency at number 4? It's the 10-year anniversary of Sandy. We've just gotten lucky. And obviously we'll have to work with Will to, the city has a very small format that you have to cut and paste these things into. So all of these things ultimately.
Yeah, I'm
do
just
go-
gonna cut this one down on here. The comment from last year is that someone needs to contact DEP. So I don't know if that's happened, but if you look at the document from last
Okay.
year,
Okay.
Okay. So then after that, we had Dopolito renovations. Are those currently happening?
Yeah, Rich, are you still on? Did Rich, I think Rich had to go.
Okay.
Oh, no, Rich, you're on. Where do we want to put Dapolito on this? Based on what we've learned since the last year.
Well, that's a good, I mean, let's just recap and then everyone can judge. It's, in our last meeting, we heard that this is a project that's gonna go on for a long time. And then the park and the pools and the facility are going to be closed during this time. But we also heard that it was, that the project's been extended considerably because more and more issues with the physical building have been found. That said, we're guaranteed that it's fully funded. That is, the repairs are funded so that it can be opened back up in 2024 or so. So I think it's important to put it on as continued support. I don't think it needs any more capital allocation.
So we should move it to continued support and move
Well, it's
off.
there. Yeah,
So we
it's
do have
there.
Tony Dopolito Center repairs as continued support. So that would just
Yeah.
go at the end. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's fine. I mean, we keep it on, but we don't confuse things. And actually, I think when I looked at the fiscal year 2021 executive budget thing, last year's one, the response from them is it's fully funded, I think. So I have it open here. I'm looking at it here. It's on page 599. in case you-
Okay, I'll just jump right there.
So yeah, I think it's fine to keep it like that. Keep it on the side.
Okay.
Well, actually, correction, it's on page 603, but they said the request is partially funded last year, but we were assured that it was fully funded and it would be fully funded. Whatever was found is going to be funded. So I don't think we need to ask for more.
Okay. Well, then that would go in a different column. That would go in the continuing support
Yep.
column, right?
As we see it, yeah, it's there. Yeah, I don't want to waste a spot. And waste, I put in quotations. I don't want to use a spot up for that confuses the prioritization.
Frederica, did you have a question?
Yeah, Rich, the prior year was 2023 fiscal year, not 2021.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I know that we were unhappy with the constant repair, and I think it is a good argument to be made for promoting a new Dapolito.
yeah, I don't think is, we talked about that. The cost to do that, it was in the notes. I think it would be so dramatic. What was it? What would they say? 200 million or something for a new center. And that doesn't include, that's in an open space, an unused space that's cleared and ready to be built on. This would be way more. And I don't want to confuse it. I think it's important to fix what they have with the budget.
Okay, I defer. I just wanted to
I
point
mean,
out
next
that,
year we can,
Yeah.
once it opens, then we can complain, but
but we want to be sure we're looking at the 2023.
you're right. You're right.
Okay,
I'm sorry. You're right.
okay.
Let me see if I can.
That was a little bit confusing when it was sent out.
You're absolutely right.
Sorry, though.
Well, I think it was probably partially done then and now fully done. I'm looking at my notes. They assured us that that the funding was going to be available for whatever is needed to open the place.
Got
The
it.
pool included.
And Rich, we have two other parks items, just since we have you, and I know you're not going to, with the irrigation system at Saravalli. Is that I'm sorry, is that a capital item or is that an expense item?
No, I talked to Teresa and Steve today. We were a little bit confused because they thought there might be another way to do it, to address it through volunteers or some local, something like we had done in Sixth Avenue and at the median in the center. But no, it's going to take an installation of an irrigation system. And that'll be a capital project with a long-term depreciation.
Okay, that will be capital.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have Minetta Playground or
Yeah,
renovation.
which I
That
think
was
is a-
probably lower on the list.
Yeah, that's fine. The other one, the golden one was redone and that is and everybody raves about it.
Yeah, okay,
And,
sounds good.
yeah, thanks.
Yes, we have a lot of frustration over the Dapolito Center. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, we've 4, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, are there numbers on these? Okay,
I'll add them at the end. I'm just ordering
Okay.
them here in order.
okay, got it. And then the Tony Dapolito is 4. I'm sorry,
Well, So yeah, it'll
resiliency
be on
is,
the- so it's,
resiliency is 4.
yeah, resiliency is 4, and then CS is, those go at the end. So
Yeah.
it's the first of the, I mean, I could create a separate column, but I'm just putting CS.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll just put them in that order.
Because we basically have the continuing support don't need any numbers. We basically have TNT and parks items for continuing support. Okay, and that actually gives us 15 items. We only have 15 items for the top 5. So that's good. So do we have the Judson Church elevator is the Judson Church elevator is very important, but it's not a government building. It's owned by a not-for-profit. So I don't think that's something that we can put on our list today.
Would that go under supporting nonprofit?
But we don't, this goes to city agencies. So that would be
Okay.
private funding, or they would apply for a grant through something else.
Yeah, so Ivy, when we talked on the phone, that one was on the fiscal year 2021. I didn't realize that's what had been sent out that we were looking at, and the response on there was that they couldn't fund it.
Got it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a couple parks things. We have arts and do we want to put the library as number 5? I'm just going to sort of move around committees a little bit. Is there anybody else pushing for something for 5? I would then put some of these school items in there. These schools are churning through technology like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I had my hand raised, that's why.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Patricia, go ahead.
But I think Carter was ahead of me.
Oh, Carter, go ahead. I was too many screens opened.
Yeah, no, I was having tech difficulties before and I'm still trying to catch up here on all the different opening up everything to look at. But I'm definitely in support of the positioning for Elizabeth Street Garden on there. And I also, the resiliency efforts, I think we need to rephrase that a little bit because the land is state land that it's on, and we need to ask for studies of all the city's infrastructure in that area, in addition to
Coordination with state agencies.
Yeah, because we've brought this up before. It's it's sort of an open question. Maintaining the bulkheads protects the city. Why is this under the parks budget, which is then under state? And so there's a lot of interplay here. So the most important thing is studying the infrastructure so there's a better understanding of all of that. And I think that is under the city because this is protecting the city. And so that money has to come from somewhere.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
nobody really wants to address it at this point, it seems. And so if we ask it the right way, there may be an opportunity for the city to, if it's rephrased a little bit, to allocate money for a study, because all of those services impact the city, and all the sewers, the overflow, bulkheads, et cetera, all that stuff is really important to our infrastructure. So we seem to have trouble getting attention. And I think that would be a better way to phrase that. And
Okay.
I know Will's not with us, but
But we can
brought it
circle
up
back
many
with Will,
times.
but we were gonna have
Yeah.
to edit it down anyways, because it was too long to fit in the space.
Yeah, because a lot of the land is not city land, and that's where the city will push it off, which is why I think it's been ignored for so long and never brought up. So
Yeah. I like that angle. Thank you. Patricia?
I would advocate for the 5th place, the technology improvements for the schools.
Instead of
And-
libraries, yeah.
For which
Yeah,
one?
and then I guess in the top 10 to include the gender neutral bathrooms.
Okay, I don't have that one.
Okay.
Upgrading, is that upgrading student bathrooms? Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Allocate funds for gender neutral bathrooms to serve 500 students at Cydia School. Okay, that's Cydia School. Would you put that high? Yeah. You would
Did that
put
come in
up-
after 5 p.m.?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the one. No, that's the one that came in. This is the one I emailed tonight.
Okay. Those
Because,
haven't been-
yeah, because the schools and ed met at 5:30 tonight. Unfortunately. So Patricia, you had sent them to us in a different order. You put Harvest Collegiate first. Can you just prioritize how you wanted to allocate those, within your committee?
Under capital, we had allocate funds to upgrade outdoor space, green roof for education, outdoor play at Harvest Collegiate. That was after that was number 3 for us. And then the gender neutral bathrooms.
Okay. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that I'm going to call it by the schools, the Harvest Collegiate outdoor space would be in front of the the bathrooms at Cydia School. Is that correct?
Yeah, but what do you think would get funded first?
Honestly, I think what would get funded first is the bathrooms, because Harvest Collegiate leases their space.
All
So
right,
perhaps
then
we
do the
can-
bathroom.
And perhaps we can reword that because I think it's only a 5-year lease, that they either need to upgrade that space or find a better space, different space.
All right,
Maybe we can just tweak that.
okay.
Because they lease the space from the new school,
Oh, all right.
which limits capital upgrades, but does.
All right, then I would put the gender neutral bathrooms ahead of that then, and then I'll reword the other thing.
Okay.
Are those moving on to any list? Are they moving on to the capital budget list?
You mean the expense budget list? No, we still have,
Oh, are these
we have 15 items that we have to continue to rank. And I'd like to sort of maybe mix in a few. They're basically arts and institutions, parks. And I do want to read the parks ones out loud and the arts and institution ones out loud, because those were not discussed at committee.
Okay, I just have the Harvest Collegiate as a capital
Yes.
priority.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just asking where do we want that to go on this list of capital priorities?
So let's move. So the gender neutral bathrooms are 7. Do you want to do Harvest Collegiate 8? And then I have a question: what's the late? So Chelsea Tech wants to upgrade their gymatorium. Is the plan to build a new school off the table?
I followed up with Jennifer Maldonado, the problem is with the developer. They didn't secure the site, so that's what's been holding up the progress. So I can't get them to come back to give us an update because there's a lawsuit, there's some legal issues going on. So that's.
So it sounds
maybe-
like that's not happening.
Yeah, it's not happening.
I would
The
still
developer
move that.
messed up.
Yeah. Well, that's, our first meeting on this was before the pandemic.
Right. This was a year ago.
I would move this one then last and then see if we can get some last on the list, just because, you know, I don't want to put something ahead of anything else. That I would put this, the Chelsea career one, while it's important, put it last on the list because we know there's other things on the table.
Okay, so I won't number that one yet. So then I've
Well,
got.
there's only 15, so they are all numbered. So you can put that 15.
Okay.
Okay, let me
so-
read the other two arts and institutions ones.
Okay.
Money for Greenwich House Music School to make it ADA compliant. And then allocate funds for New York Studio School. And those are both Department of Cultural Affairs. Ivy, are those things that, I mean, were you able to check with Robin on those items?
No, because when we spoke in the committee, we just reviewed it, but nobody had any comments back of what to prioritize.
Okay, so let's leave those 13 and 14. And can you just confirm whether those should be on the list or not before, like by tomorrow if possible? Or ask Robin to, delegate that to somebody on the committee.
Okay.
I just don't know anything about those projects and I want to make sure that.
Neither do I.
I'm gonna keep Greenwich House as number 13 for this year.
Yeah, well then leave it at 13 and the studio school 14.
Okay, I got it.
Janine, I just wanted to ask if anybody had heard from Brad's office with respect to, he had discretionary funding in past years, and we used this list to generate ideas for that. I was wondering if anybody had heard if that's continuing.
I don't know, but it's actually, those were more expense items.
Right. Well, I'm just bringing it up because
Yeah.
he had some money and we used this list even for, I think it was even some capital things, right? That were
Yeah,
switched.
or it was some minor
redesigned.
improvements to JJ, which I don't
Right.
think have ever actually been spent.
And a lot of schools items ended up on that list, or a number of
Yeah.
a few school items. So I just bringing that up
Well,
is
we
just a
can follow,
thought.
Patricia, can you follow up with Brad's office on this?
Sure.
And so it's mostly with schools or parks, but. Okay. So it looks like we have all 15. But
Do you want me to- I've got gaps from 4 to 7 and gaps from 7 to 13. Do you want me to just approve what was here?
I had 5 was the technology for schools, 6 was Hudson Park Library, 7, the gender neutral bathrooms at City of School.
Okay, I'm gonna need a second.
Okay.
Okay. So technology was 5. And then
Library 6.
Hudson Park
Hudson
Library?
Park Library,
Okay,
yes.
okay, okay.
And then City of School is 7. And Harvest Collegiate is 8.
Okay, I'm gonna move that one over.
Then we get 9 is the PS 41, 10 is PS 130. Then we have Sarah Valley irrigation, Minetta renovation. Wait, what happened to Vesuvio? I thought that was a redo on here. Did that get into?
I didn't see it.
Hold on, I'm just wondering if it got cut cut and paste it out. Yeah, because last year, where was Vesuvio as a redo? Vesuvio Playground.
It was number 14.
Oh, okay. Well, I would put that above Minetta because Minetta was finished like 5 years after Vesuvio. Rich, are you still on? I think he's left. Should we pull off move the Saravalli one, the watering at Saravalli lower, since that sounds like the Parks is working on some other options?
Sure.
Yeah, and then let's move Vesuvio to 11.
Janine,
Yeah,
it's Frederica. As a member of the Parks Committee, we weren't at a recent meeting, they were talking about how to figure out how to water the plants at Saravalli.
yeah,
were-
but
Just, you know, just to put in a plug for that.
yeah, I
That's
know.
still an ongoing problem.
Should we move that to continuing support then?
I could see moving it down, but I would hate to see it disappear.
Well,
Do you want those as 9 and 10?
well, we have to take one off this list. So, oh, shoot, the fire museum is in there too.
Oh, so the fire museum, I got that from something you'd sent over, Janine.
Yeah.
But the fire museum in a past, I think in FY 2022, they said they couldn't fund that.
Okay, well then let's pull that
Yeah,
off.
I saw
Okay.
that as well.
Yeah.
Is there one thing we can pull off of here? Has the New York Studio School come to us?
That's
What did
something
they, what
Is that
did they say last year in the report for Greenwich House and New York Studio School?
That's something I have to check with Robin, correct?
Yeah, but I'm just
See
looking,
what they said. Yeah,
what did they say last year? Do you have that in front of you, Valerie?
I do. I'm just scrolling. It's like a locked PDF, so you can't extract.
Yeah.
Okay, just give me a second.
I'm inclined to move that last since nobody knows anything about it. And it was discussed at a meeting and no one still knew anything about it.
I don't. For Greenwich House Music School, it said available funds are insufficient for this project. We recommend this project be brought to the attention of your elected officials, i.e. the borough president and or city council member.
Okay, well, that's good. Okay,
Vesuvio said further study by the agency of this request is needed. OMB did not take a position.
yeah, okay. Well, because what's been happening is half the park's been closed for a while one of the adjacent buildings is repaired, so it doesn't fall on children in the playground. Okay.
I don't see anything for
The studio school.
No.
Okay, let's put that 16. Ivy, I still want you to check on that and then it'll just get last since we don't have any information on it.
Okay, I'm writing the email right now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we move to expense priorities. And how many did we rank last year?
Janine, before we jump onto that, I was just looking at the list here. You know, for number 3 and 4 on the capital, number 4 is likely this is the time that we have an opportunity to make an impact in the coming year on that. And I think we might want to raise that up, particularly with some of the federal attention on this. But for us locally, this is going to be a topic most likely in the coming year.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I guess I would like to wait till Will joins us so we can come back, we can rediscuss this. But I don't know, I mean, top 5 is top 5. So I still think
right.
that.
I mean, this is just something that is going to be in the mix
Yeah,
shortly. And that's why I just bring that up, because we've been asking just for anything for so long. And this is the year where this is going to happen. So
maybe.
Okay, so that's 5, and then 6 is gender neutral bathrooms, 7, 8, 9.
No, 6, 5 is technology, 6 is the library,
Oh.
7 is the gender neutral bathrooms.
Okay, and then 8 is Harvest Collegiate,
Yep.
and then Minetta.
No, then I had PS 41 and PS 130, but we could move
Okay.
those.
I don't have those on here.
Those were the ones that Patricia sent in. And actually, I would suggest that we put PS 130 first because it's a Title I school.
What number is it?
I would put the 39 and PS 41 10 because PS 130 is a Title I school.
PS 140
130, PS
Oh,
130.
and then 141. Sorry, I just
No,
can't.
and 41 is the West Village
Okay,
one,
got it.
number 10. And then 11 is Vesuvio, 12 is Minetta. And the only rationale for that is Minetta was built more recently than Vesuvio. 13 is Greenwich House.
Okay.
14. Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I know this is not fun to watch. All right, so I'll have to get that information. Yeah, nothing. If I got anything after 5, it's not on here.
Yeah, no, I know. That's what I sent. Yeah, the committee met at 5:30. So, okay.
And then 11 is Minetta.
No, 11 is Vesuvio, 12 is Minetta. 13 is Greenwich House.
Okay. Oh, wow. I kind of changed. That's kind of a nice little thing that changed.
You got it?
So 11's Greenwich. All right, I can change that.
No,
12.
no, 13 is Greenwich.
Okay, 12 is Minetta.
Yep, 13 is Greenwich.
11 is Vesuvio.
Yes.
All right, I'll just add that later. And then 13 is
Greenwich House
14.
is Schools and Ed, Chelsea Career and Technical,
Okay.
and 15 is Saravalli Irrigation.
Thank you.
All righty. All right. So now we're going to go to the expense one, which we have a much longer list. Frederica, you have a question?
About expense.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I think I can make it easy for you with the land use items from last year. Number 3 from last year, they did not recommend, and so we removed it. Number 4, they said they would accommodate. So we can take both of those out of consideration.
Okay.
Number 38 from last year is about affordable housing. And if we're going to put our capital budget priority for affordable housing at the top of that list, I think we should consider moving our affordable housing request from the expense side up much higher than number 38.
Okay. And the ones you sent us today?
And yeah, I just sent you the current ones. There was one that we asked for last year that the community board did not include. And it related to number 3, which they did not recommend. So we reformulated it as our request for the data set information to go into open portal.
Got it. I'm sorry. So I'm looking at the ones you sent us. You
Yes.
sent 3 that. None of those say affordable housing or it says,
Yes, they do
which
actually.
is the one, so, okay, so there's, okay, to identify government-owned properties. Number 16
Yes,
is,
the identify government-owned properties is to figure out where affordable housing can go.
yes, okay, and then number 16 is soft sites.
Right. In fact, the soft sites one, they told us to contact the DCP's borough office. So if they give us a direction, I'm not sure that we should persist in listing that.
Okay, and then the third one is a citywide data set
Yes,
on rent stabilized and rent controlled.
yes, and I'm proposing that we give that real consideration.
So we put that one up at the, so top 5.
I think actually the one about government-owned properties and affordable housing deserves to be in number 5 if the capital corollary got to be number 2.
Okay,
And then just to figure out where you would put the request for the data set to be included in the open portal.
I'm, um, okay, do we have other committee members who want to, other committee chairs who want to talk about their priorities? Surely.
There I am. Okay. I want to advocate for traffic and transportation. And I'm going to start by saying I think it's one of the most important things to any community in terms of safety and preservation of our lives. And I feel that these numbers, I cannot believe that many of them are down that far. So I'd like to suggest we move a lot of these things up. I'm basing this on the list we have here. Now it says that number 1 is the study for 10th Avenue between Gainesville and Horatio. And the reason that I have that as number 1, that was new, by the way, is because that's imminent, that DOT actually has the funds and can do this. I mean, if we had continuing support for expenses, that's where it would go. But yeah, that's got to be high on the list. The extension of the bike lane on 6th Avenue, we've been asking for that for probably, I don't know, 10 years more.
Yeah, and that's such a death ride.
And that was on number 1. And the only reason it
Or
became
what, that was your number 1? I thought
originally,
Horatio Gansevoort
last
was.
year.
Oh, last year, okay.
Yeah. And the only reason it's moved down is because Gansevoort is so imminent that it
Got
would be ridiculous not to grab it. Okay. We eliminated 4. The infill stations, they can stay. They're
Just read the ones on the list you sent us today. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, the list that I see here, which is given numbers like 48, 49, 50, which seems way.
No, those are
out of
just,
place.
they're numbered. I'm sorry, just, I
Oh.
should have numbered them differently. Sorry, they're
Okay.
not. I
right.
should have done bullet
Okay.
points. I just
And so
wanted
I
people to
I will
reference
just
them.
say that I think that certainly, and then the Pestracino one, which is also new, is based on the fact that a study, at least DOT assures us, a study is being done called Reimagine Pestracino Square, which actually they inherited from the last administration. And that would be a whole redo, really, of the Pestracino Square area, where there are certainly many issues still.
So those are your top 3 for
I
transportation.
would say that's my top 3, and the other would be, no, I have a lot of top 3. I have the one that has to do with the safety improvements again at Christopher Park. again, uh, awfully important and been waiting forever. And that area has become more and more congested as it has become this national monument.
Would you move that ahead of the city bike infill on the west side?
Yeah, but infill I'd moved down. I don't know why I put it there.
Okay.
Because now I'm thinking about really the importance of safety. And then the 12th Street one, again, is something that the community has just been asking for just forever. A lot of problems there, emergency vehicles going through.
Okay.
So that's, yeah, that would be. Okay, then it doesn't really have to do with the numbers that I'm seeing here.
You just ignore the numbers and give don't give us 10 that you want in the top 10. Give us like 3 or 4 that you want in the top 10. And you've given us 4.
Okay, so.
Gansevoort.
Let me just take a look. Yeah, the ones that I've told you, Gansevoort, the 6th Avenue bike lane still, the Petrosino Square, the Stonewall area, National Monument, Christopher Park, the whole area there, and 12th Street, East 12th Street. And what have I got there now? Did I give you
That's
5?
4. You've got 4. So
Okay,
let's come back to you. We'll go
Okay.
to some other committee members.
Okay.
Okay. Chanel?
I realize the way ours written, it's confusing. It's actually one goal or 2 goals. All
Yeah,
related.
I have it as 1, but is it one big thing or is it 4 things or is it 2
No,
things?
it's one thing with several parts.
Okay,
if you
so
want to leave it
money,
to-
so
it just
LPC
seems
funding.
It just seems written as lengthy, and it can be shortened if that's desirable.
Okay, so you have 1 request and you're gonna shorten it.
Not in terms of what we're asking for, which is all related.
No,
but
just shorten the wording.
if you would like for it to be shortened as a way of saying it, then
Yeah, okay.
we can do that.
Okay.
It's basically to increase compliance.
Okay. Okay, we'll work on that. So you have 1. Okay. That makes sense. Next is Patricia.
Yes, hi, I have one request from Equity, Race and Justice that marking the land of the Blacks be in the top 10.
Okay. Great.
And then,
For schools?
and then for schools, allocate funds for NYC Men Teach and allocate funds for teacher training regarding structured literacy.
Okay,
Those are my requests.
okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Will, we'll let you give it your full report and then comment on these.
Hi, can everybody see me?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm traveling for a meeting, so sorry that I'm late. So are we only on expenses
Will, turn your camera off.
now, Janine, or do you want me to talk capital also?
Yeah, we put
Is
right
that
now,
better?
yeah, that's much better. For now, we put resiliency 4. We could possibly move it up. And Carter made a suggestion that we rephrase it, since this is going to the city, that it study the city infrastructure in coordination with state agencies related to resiliency efforts. So they don't just say,
Yes.
"Well, we don't own the land." So
Yes, thank you, Carter, for the suggestion. I'm okay with that. I mean, part of the issue is we don't know exactly when the money's going to be needed. The Army Corps study, the way it's written now, that may not be final. In fact, I'm sure it won't be. But 18 billion will need to be funded by the city and state. The way they've written it now, 35% of the 50 odd plus billion has to come from state and local. So that may or may not come in the next year, but obviously it's a big capital, a big capital piece that's going to come in the coming years. So I think in the top 5 is fine. I don't think it has to go any higher.
okay.
And then on the
Got it at
expense,
4, yeah.
yeah, that's good for me. And then on the expense side, we had 4. They're the same as last year. I don't think they have to be particularly high because the city's actually made progress in each of those 4 in the last year. And so like that's happening. I want to keep it on there because I want to continue to emphasize it. The rain
Got it.
garden one is kind of the green infrastructure one's kind of interesting because in the new zoning that they're putting forth, that's actually going to allow, instead of tree pits to be put in front of new buildings, they can do green infrastructure instead. And I'm trying to figure out if the city's going to somehow incentivize that.
What would it be an example of green infrastructure?
Like basically a rain garden. So some sort of planted pit that's going to absorb more rain than like just a traditional tree pit, and maybe have some underground storage underneath it, for instance.
Okay.
So I asked the question last night, actually, on the info session, whether there's incentives in place to do that. Because, right, if building owners can choose, they might, when they build a new development, they might still just choose the cheaper option. So maybe that's sort of an expense that will have to be put forth by the city to sort of facilitate that. But anyway, that's a side note. But the city is making progress on all of those, but let's keep them all in. But they don't have to be like super high.
Okay. Thank you, Will. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Ivy, did you have any top priorities? But I know you saw that you had to leave. For arts and institutions, we had library and cultural funding for community centers.
The only thing I would say that when I cross-check the notes, the one that I think Patricia put in for the, what was it? We just moved it.
It's education.
No, the land, we just moved it up.
Right
This
here?
one, right? Yeah, the making the land of my, for some reason, in some of my cross check, it was part of our budget as well, or our ask. So I don't know if that's a combination. So
Well, the expense, the capital budget was for ADA accessibility, and this is just more funding for libraries for services. So they're different categories.
okay. Other than that, I don't have anything right now.
Okay, thank you, Ivy.
I did reach out to Robin as well.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. Safe travels.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. Who has their hand up? Chenault, do you still have another comment? Okay. I just want to look through the top.
I did not.
Oh, okay,
I
great.
still hand raised, sorry.
Okay. So I'm just looking through parks. We should pull irrigation off this list because that's in capital. Rich, are there any expense priorities for parks? Are you still, or Frederica, for the parks items? Any top 10?
Oh, I can't speak to that. Sorry.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, and then Susanna is not here and away, but she was the very first person who sent her things in. Her priorities were allocate fundings to HHC for a follow-up community health assessment on health outcomes of the Lenox Health Greenwich Village standalone ER, Washington Square Park outreach, and then senior data. Those were her three categories. Excuse me. Sorry. I got up early today. I have to say on a day-to-day basis, the Washington Square Park outreach is probably doing the most in our community. I'd be inclined to put that in the top 10. But she did have the second on her list. Is there anyone on the Human Services Committee who is here tonight who can comment on that?
I'm on Human Services. And so can you just repeat the question?
Well, there were three things that she sent us. Health and a community health assessment, looking at the standalone ER in Greenwich Village, which I think is a wonderful idea. But given how many community health problems there are across New York City, I can't imagine Greenwich Village being a high priority. The second is Washington's, I'm adding my editorial comments there. Washington Square Park outreach, which having been on my first district service cabinet meeting last week, the social services agencies that are working in the park are doing a lot. And then the last category is senior data to look at the variance between senior population and medians for housing, health, and income.
In terms of priorities, I would, Washington Square Park is probably number one.
Yeah.
And the community health assessment is probably number two.
Okay. Okay, great.
That's a larger problem.
Yeah,
I
okay.
agree, Washington Square Park #1. I'm on that committee too, but yeah, I
Okay,
agree with
thank
you
you.
too.
Okay. So we have, I'm just gonna go through top 10. We have Washington Square Park, 4 from traffic and transportation, 1 from land use and housing. That brings us to 6.
What's
We
the
have
one
2
from land use and housing, so I can move it over?
is the,
Ask the Department of Real Estate or HPD to allocate funds to identify all government-owned properties.
Great, thank you.
And that will be what number in the,
we haven't, I'm just counting the top 10,
okay, sure.
I want to count the 10. I'm hoping that we have 10 in the top 10. So I lost my count. We have 1, 2, 6. We have 2 from schools and ed, 1 from equity, race, and justice.
What did we decide from traffic?
The first 4, Shirley said
Okay,
she
thank
wanted the top.
Hmm.
Gansevoort, 6th
Yep.
Avenue Bike Lane, Petrosino Square, and safety improvements at Waverly, Christopher, and Grove. Those are the 4 you read, Shirley.
Okay, I have another one. I would like to know.
Which is your other one?
The other one is actually a new one. It's the conduct a study of the 9th Avenue and 14th Street intersections to improve traffic signalization and avoid excessive backups and ensure safety for pedestrians and bicyclists. It's evidently a really dangerous crossing there and a very busy one, especially with.
Have we had a meeting on that?
Market. Did we have? Yes, we have a resolution on it. Any of the added ones are from resolutions. And the other thing about it too is that the MPD, the Meatpacking District bid, I think would support it heavily too, so that there might be a real chance.
Okay, so that could be
Getting
number
done.
10 because we did have 9 things.
I've got 12.
Oh, land use and housing. I had 2 for schools and ed. I had 1 for equity, race, and justice. I had none for parks, none for arts and institutions.
That's correct. I don't have any for those either.
Okay, so I have Washington Square Park in the top 10,
And what committee is that from?
human services.
Thank you.
TNT had 5 in the top 10. Land use and housing has 1 in the top 10.
Okay, top 10.
Schools and ed has 2 in the top 10.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the top 10. The top 10, if you put all of traffic, that's the top 10.
You put 5 top 10.
5
yeah.
traffic, 1 human services, 2 schools, 1 equity, 1 land use.
Okay.
That's 10.
Does anyone want to put, what do we want to put first in that? Do we want to put Washington Square Park outreach first? I'm just trying to think of like if somebody went to our website and said, what are CB2's top priorities? And maybe combine that and with land use and housing.
Okay, so Washington Square Park outreach.
I don't know, I'm just throwing it out to
Okay.
this group.
Yeah.
Oh, Chanel, you raised your hand. Sorry.
I would like, I've forgotten where we were last year. There's several things that argue for our being moved up this year with essentially the same.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Chenault's was in the top 10. Surely we're going to bump one of yours out because you
Okay,
can't have.
got it.
Sorry. Chenault's was in the top 10. Okay.
Okay.
Just suggested, with Shirley's approval, that if one were going to be bumped out, that the one on 10th Avenue is being addressed by the the vision plan of the meatpacking bid?
Well,
It's up to you, Shirley. I'm just saying.
partially. Yeah, I think, let me take a look. What do we have here? The blocks impacted.
I'll
Yeah,
move
where
yours
are we?
together. I'm gonna move yours, Shirley, so you can see them.
Oh, okay, fine, because.
Okay, that's the first one you
one
had.
that
which-
you
And
just-
Donna, do you have a comment on this
Oh,
as
it's
well?
on 10th Avenue. It's there,
I
it's
was going
there.
to, I was going to agree with Frederica about that 10th Avenue, and if you're framing it in terms of, what are our top 10 priorities of our district, I don't know that that would come up as one of them for myself.
Okay, and actually, I only have it there because they're going to do it, so it was a way of, if it were continuing support. Okay, I agree. Okay, take that one out.
Okay. Take it out of the top 10 or take it out completely?
Oh, no, don't take it out completely.
Okay, perfect. Okay, just want to make sure. I'm just double checking. I will move it to the end. Great, thanks.
So,
Okay.
Shall we go, so do we want to where are we want to reorder these top 10? Anyone want to? So we have
Human services.
human services, land use, equity, schools, landmarks, and then we have a lot of transportation stuff. I think that's good. Okay.
I have the HHC one there from human services. Is that still?
oh,
That would not be in the top 10.
you know what, the infill, I said to move. That doesn't have to be in the top 10.
No.
You had it as number 4. I
Oh,
don't
the
know how
city
to do
bike?
it, but that
Yeah.
was not the one. Let me just
Oh.
see what the one was.
It was the 6th Avenue bike lane, Petrosino Square.
Right. 6th Avenue bike lane, so take out the infill. And so can I just see what the ones are, because I can tell you what to plug
Sure.
in.
The first, so the first, extend the protected bike lane on 6th
Right,
Avenue. Reimagine Petrosino Square.
there, right. Ninth,
Conduct a
Second,
study of the
14th
9th
Street, that's
Avenue and
3,
14th Street. And then at the end,
Oh,
10th
so we
Avenue.
don't really need that as the 5th, right? We had decided to do another one, right? I thought. What do we have of traffic now?
Okay, so
Traffic-
did we
Go ahead.
pull off Gansevoort?
it's at the end. Do you want it not there at all?
No, we moved it to the end. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, you're moving it to the, oh, great. Okay, fine. Keep
Yeah.
it here then. Yeah. Excellent.
Okay. Okay, so we've got our top 10. Let's just go through these and identify 11 through 20, and then my advice.
Janine, I had a question before we move on.
Sure.
On the new city bike infill stations, I'm not sure this is how this is written is exactly what it is. Do we actually want the city bikes on West Street or in the area of West Street?
Well,
Because it mentioned West Street is a highway. If you have the city bike stations in that parking lane,
okay.
that doesn't seem
it was-
such
it
like
was on
the,
the east side of the street. It was to the east side of the street. The rationale was that more city bike stations are needed in Hudson River Park, to access Hudson River Park. And that there's no room in the Hudson River Park for more city bike stations. So that the suggestion was to consider them for the east side.
yeah, I don't.
But you're saying that maybe it should be
I'm a safety
several
issue,
other
just,
blocks.
yeah, like just widen it up because I mean, as a bike rider and having ridden on that stretch, pulling a bike in and out on West Street on the northbound side seems like a pretty, not a particularly safe place. I'm
Yeah.
just,
Of course,
as
the borough
opposed to,
president is
that-
asking for a bike lane there. a two-way bike lane.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if it's a touch broader, it may communicate the same issue with
Yeah.
giving some flex.
I think that the idea was simply with the Hudson River Park as a destination. And so to have the city bike stations there for the city bikes that would be coming to that destination. And then from the park to be able to pick them up on the way back east.
I understand. I'm just saying, pulling out a city bike and docking it on the eastbound parking lane of West Street is not
Yeah, I
a
think
very
it was
comfortable feeling.
Okay,
absolutely-
let's tweak that language a little bit. And Shirley and Carter, can you work offline to tweak that?
Oh, sure, okay.
Okay, so we don't need to wordsmith it with everyone on, and we're starting to lose people, so.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna say now I'm gonna go top 11 through 20. I think the HHC study should be in there. I'm gonna call that the top 20. Shirley, do you want the rest of yours in the top 20? That you've got the study on the city bike infill that you're gonna reword and congestion on 12th Street.
First of all, I didn't want the info in the top 20.
Okay, good, then we'll move it down. Do you want anything
Yeah,
in
we
in the
moved all
top
the
20?
way down, and that's what I had said in the first place. I guess I just didn't make it clear.
No,
because
I just
don't
cut and
think-
paste.
I don't think it's a safety issue, and the truth of the matter is. that
Which would you like in the
understand
top 20? The 11 through 20?
11 through 10, well, then, the stone wall, or is that number 5?
We already put that in the top 10. We already put that in the top 10.
Okay.
You've got 5 in the top 10.
Oh, I would say 12th
it-
Street, the one with 12th Street
Okay.
would be one, and.
And everyone else, can you look through your list and share any top
I
20?
mean, I'm just saying what my priorities.
Yes,
There are
exactly.
other priorities. on
I
the
know,
list.
I'm just asking everyone else to be.
And I don't know, and again, the stone wall, I don't know whether we have that in or. not.
Stonewall's already in there.
Okay, I think we kind of have covered this.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think we've got we got 9 anyhow.
Okay. For land use and housing, do you want any in these in the top 11 through 20?
Yes, thank you. Working off the list that you sent out, you have us with number 17, 18, and 19. We dealt with number 17, and I would give up on number 18 because they gave us some direction on that. And I would love to see our number 19, which is the data set in the open portal. I would like to see that in the 11 to 20.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
That's the citywide data set. Okay.
Yes. Uh-huh. And
Fantastic.
that's it for land use.
Okay. Will, quality of life, are you still there?
Yeah, I think if anyone, to put anyone in the top 20, I would say the trash containerization and composting, just because I think the rat problem is still a widespread issue that a lot of people care about. And
That's a
I think
good
continuing to
point.
explore ways to deal with that it should maybe be in the top 20. So that's the one I would pick.
Yeah, the first one on your list. Okay.
Is the board going to have a position on containerization? That's my
We
question.
don't have one yet because there isn't one to respond to. But this is this is simply.
Just asking, okay.
It's just
I'm moving
asking
it.
city to
Yeah, we
adopt.
don't have a resolution yet, at least from our committee, and I guess the board doesn't either from a
I
previous
think
time.
they're
so.
only testing it in a couple of locations. And so they wouldn't be able to make a presentation at this point.
Yeah, wait for the McKinsey
Yeah.
study. I will find the link. I briefly heard, I didn't hear the whole interview, that sanitation commissioner was on Brian Laird this morning.
So that's 14.
Yeah, that's 14. Patricia left. Let's put well, after school in here. Let's put we have arts education, cafeteria tables. Let's put the next 2 in the top 20.
From schools?
Yeah, the next 2 on the list. And let's do the same with the equity, race, and justice. And maybe the first two for parks, since those are kind of consistent with the quality of life, trash and rats. And what does that bring us to?
Give me 1 second. That's, oops.
Where did we put last year allocate additional funds for community boards?
That guy's at the end.
Yeah, that we did that last. No,
I
I
don't
mean,
actually remember. I think that's something Bob added on. I don't remember actually us having.
well,
a
Bob
discussion
always
on
adds that. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
good,
I think Bob always adds that on, always added that on.
Well, we could say to conduct hybrid meetings.
So 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 20.
Okay, awesome. Do people feel, do we want to go through 21 through 30? Or shall we just kind of pro rata allocate them by committee? That's for the rest.
I vote for pro rata allocate.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what we did last year. We did like.
Yeah, I
top
think that's what we
25
did last year, because
Yeah.
at this point, it's just,
Yeah.
nobody gets down to that. Okay, I think we've got it. And Valerie, maybe we can work offline and make sure we got this together, and this will go to the board for voting on Thursday. Any last questions on capital or budget priorities?
I just want to say that's a really fun way of doing this.
You just like all the colors, Frederica.
I just like the cool picture in the background. I want to live on that street.
I like the way it gets smeary when it moves over.
Yeah,
That's probably my connection. I don't know. If
that's
that's
probably a data problem. Oh, that's funny. Okay, do we have any new business, anyone? Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, thank you, everyone. 8:22, and by the way, the Yankees won.
There you go, Yankees.
Have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Right.